Good morning, fans of the Monday Movie Club. This week we are reviewing this year's Best Picture Oscar winner, Anora, which is too new to be on the Franken list. But here we are. I'm Frank Gaffney, the Brian Creek Social. I need to change that. Joel Fenster, good morning.
Good morning.
Is that a purple Anora cup?
Sure.
Um, Mark Wotitz Gartner, no picture up, but he just had a party and turned 50 this week. So when is your
Not
actual
yet.
birthday?
I'm still 49 until Tuesday.
Tuesday. I hope you make it.
I should have brought you
Uh,
my t-shirt. I have a t-shirt that says oldometer on it, and it's
Yes, and it's like 49
49 to
and
50.
turning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cute.
uh,
I have no reason to wear it anymore, so
and Gold fuck no cringer.
Yeah, he's sound asleep.
Sounds like
I
I
wish
know
doesn't
I
he
he's
know about
douching.
the time change?
Yeah.
And Annie, thank you for changing the spelling. Annie King.
Very nice.
Yeah.
We call her Anora. No, what is your Chinese name? Anyi?
Naive.
Nai.
I thought you were gonna
I,
say we call her annoying. I was like, oh,
No, that's me.
you call her annoying.
I think Annie is the most annoying of the five of us.
Wow.
No.
Yeah, wow. And I'm insulted.
Yeah.
All right, here's a plot. Anora, a young woman from Brooklyn, played by Best Actress winner Mickey Madison, gets her chance at a Cinderella story when she meets and marries the son of a Russian oligarch. Look it up. Once the news reaches Russia, her fairy tale is threatened as the parents set out to New York to get the marriage annulled. That's like an hour into the movie.
Yep.
Okay. Anora won 5 Oscars, one for Mickey, but the other four being for writer, director, producer, editor Sean Baker. We'll unwrap that in a little bit. Uh yeah, one best picture, but this is the review I wrote. Beneath its glossy exterior lies quite a few shortcomings for me. The narrative has so many abrupt shifts from romantic escapade to screwball comedy to dark thriller that results in a very disjointed film that becomes a challenge to make any real emotional connection. However, Mickey Madison's portrayal of Annie is energetic and adorable, and she captures Annie's resilience, vulnerability, and unyielding spirit. But her New York accent, good lord. No, think Marissa Tomei and My Cousin Vinny. She probably studied that movie. And that's where I expected her to talk about positive attraction any second.
That's good. That was good, Frank.
But she does win you over. It's a very confident performance for a 25-year-old. Is she 25? But she's been performing since she was a kid. Most notably, she was on that Pamela Adlon sitcom, Better Things. As and for as much as Sean Baker thinks he's championing sex workers, his script perpetuates all negative stereotypes, depicting them as ladies mired in chaos and or in need of rescue. And he's exploiting these actresses to show how they're exploited as sex workers. I'm like, that's a little bit of have your cake and eat it too for me. Anybody?
Yeah.
I mean, was it really necessary to see her doing her erotic dance, touching her vag? And I'm like, did we need to see this? I don't get it. Okay.
Over and over and over and
Oh
over.
my God. And so, all right. But I had the same problem with the substance that they were saying women are exploited, but here they were exploiting these actresses to show how women are exploited. It's a little
Well,
weird.
isn't that similar in a similar vein to Archie Bunker?
Archie
Meaning
Bunker was exploiting women?
Yes.
he had a sex
Yes. You know what I mean.
showing how bigoted he was to show the bigotry.
I will say that having two big Oscar nominated movies with that much nudity, even I will say that it was a little unusual in this day and age. It probably wasn't needed.
Yeah. Okay. And then the movie does take a realistic turn as Annie constantly faces social stigma for being a sex worker and others trying to reduce her identity to just a dumb, hollow, gold digging whore. and she vigorously does fight for that identity. But quite frankly, if you're having sex for money, doesn't that make you a prostitute? I'm just wondering. Like every whore with a heart of gold, she takes exception to the label of being a prostitute or any of those negative words associated with her chosen profession. She's an exotic dancer. But she is also brave, bright, colorful, and most importantly, very human and vulnerable. And granted, she's a flawed human, but worthy of our respect.
And getting back to what you said before about what's his name, the director exploiting not the actress but an actual sex worker. I mean, I was never one to go to strip clubs, but I have been for bachelor parties and so forth. And as far as I know, in my limited experience, you don't get to take them home. They are no, I'm being
Well,
serious.
she made a pretty woman deal with him, and
I
that's
mean,
how
no, but she seemed like she would. It seemed like she was a sex
do it.
worker. So,
Yeah, she would do it on a regular basis.
and
Yeah.
that's not standard, as far as I know, at least.
Well, you don't know. But you do end up rooting for her. Anyway, so now here's my observations while watching the damn thing. Firstly, 2 hours and 18 minutes. Jeez. Secondly, all the boobs. Jeez.
Hey,
Not one penis in the whole movie.
yes, there was the kid when he stripped
No.
down.
You
He did a
barely
back
saw it
roll.
as he flipped over.
I
Come
saw
on.
something flipping as he flipped.
Yeah. Not even pausing it helped. And so, and then what was his name? Ivan.
Ivan,
Ivan?
Ivan,
Ivan.
Vanya. You should know that.
Vanya. And he was nice to the help, though. He offered his bong to the maid. That was very nice of him. And there was just too much in that whole first section. The New Year's Eve party. Then just go right to Vegas. We didn't need to see all of that. They have sex, go to Vegas. And this is an Oscar winning editor. Good Lord. 40 minutes in, they're finally married, and the plot finally gets going. Again, where's the editor when you need him? This easily could have been only 20 minutes.
The editor was also the writer and the director and the
Yeah,
producer.
unfortunately,
So,
when
yeah.
you're the writer, director, and editor, it's hard to part with the things that you love. I get that.
Yep.
I totally get that.
He clearly loved her boobs.
Oh my God. And someone should have told him to cut at least 20 minutes, at least. Anyway, but now the fun part, trying to find Ivan. What's his name? I wrote it.
Vanya.
I don't know, but that was not a fun part for me.
Even this section goes on too long, but I will give props to Sean Baker, who absolutely gave that Oscar nomination to Yuri Borisov as Igor, the bald goon. Because watching it again, I saw so many moments where he included his reactions to things, included him to shots, so we could see his really lovely performance. He really was, oh my God, I would marry him tomorrow. Anyway, 3 stars from me. The first half takes a while to get going. The second half definitely redeems it. But that last 10 minutes, again, editor, good Lord. So let's unpack those last 10 minutes. Annie is so used to the world only valuing her for her sexuality. And then when someone like Igor does something genuinely nice for her, she has no idea how to reciprocate except sex. And when he wants to kiss her, she doesn't do that. She doesn't make that emotional connection. And then she starts crying. So obviously, this is her coming to terms with this whole ordeal that she's been through. And maybe, we end on an ambiguous note and leaving us to come up with some idea of where they go from here. But maybe this does change her. Maybe she's a woman who, maybe she's going to spend the next part of her life exceeding whatever the expectations might be of her, but she better get on it before she needs the substance.
So we'll find out in the sequel.
The sequel. And Best Picture of the Year, we all know my vote goes to Wicked. The only movie that gave me real joy of the nine.
You're not the only person, from what I've heard.
Yeah, of the 9 that I watched, that was the only one. Amy, I know you're with me on this one.
Oh, absolutely. And that's what I've been saying all along. If I had to pick one of the 8 movies I saw that I actually walked out saying, oh my God, I loved it, it was only Wicked.
Keep
And in
going.
fact, three people said to me Friday, having just seen Anora, I can't believe this movie won Best Picture, including Annie yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, at least it wasn't Amelia Perez.
Yes, and I have said that as well, and The Substance.
All right.
Um,
So, what do you remember about Anora?
it's what I've been saying. I loved her performance, and I loved Igor, and I loved the second hour up until the last 10 minutes when I was like, oh my God, enough already, which I said the first hour. I'm, estimating on the times. I just loved when they were all together in the car looking for him. It was so much fun, such a fun caper. The humor was great when the car was towed. I was like, wow, all of a sudden this movie became a comedy because I didn't laugh at all until, they all got together. So that's all I have to say. And for that reason, I will give it 2.5 stars. I didn't hate it at all. And the second hour, I really enjoyed, but not
And
enough to go to 2 3/4 because I don't need to see it again,
yeah,
as you know.
And Mickey was fun.
Yeah.
I really did enjoy her, even with that crazy accent.
Yeah. Her accent was brutal. It was the
Yeah.
brutalest accent of all. I,
And but maybe that's how they talk in Brooklyn.
yeah, sure.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm from
Yeah.
Queens.
No.
I'm from Queens. It's a different accent.
Yeah, sure.
All right, Annie, you hated it?
I didn't hate it. It was just, like you said, it was too long. It totally ripped off Pretty Woman, which I loved.
Right.
There was the not kissing part, that's from Pretty Woman, because that's too personal. And then
Right.
I would have done it for, five.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was totally
Yeah,
fun.
this is another thing that bothered me that if if she was so savvy, she would have negotiated a little better there. When he said I would have given you 10, she was like, all right, then give me 15. But she didn't. She didn't defend herself in that way.
Mm.
She's just like, okay.
No,
Yeah.
but she did. She worked him up. Whatever he offered, she talked him up an extra five. And then
Yes, but he said he would have done more than that. That's when she should have said, okay, then 20. She didn't. She didn't advocate for herself. Sorry, go on.
No, and the first part was way too long, and even for all the thanks to the sex workers, and I didn't feel like there was anything that um that he did for them, or other than what we already know, really. Like, he didn't show
Yeah, I mean,
any.
maybe his thinking was to normalize what they do as a regular job. It's a regular job. But yeah, those back rooms were a little sketchy for sure.
Yeah, so I thought it was great. The second half was funny, yes, and there were great little touches, like when they were all sitting in the diner eating and stuff. That was, I didn't
I
need
was
to.
like when I'm sorry, when Ivan was Igor was eating that hamburger, I'm like, oh my God, how many takes did they do?
oh yeah.
Yeah,
His mouth was like
yeah. I didn't need to see him throwing up that long in the car,
right,
like,
right,
it's fine. It would have been fine if we just knew that that's what he did, but
right.
um yeah, so it was fine. It was nothing memorable, really. It was just a movie. I'm annoyed that I paid to see it in this day and age, but
5.99.
yeah, although it was free for me because I had a credit. So, but
All right.
anyway, um, 2.5 stars for me. It was fine, but nothing spectacular.
Mark G, all the boobage didn't help you.
No. And I wrote this as I watched it, so I haven't cleaned it up, so I'm just gonna read what I wrote. Similar to Annie, I said it's obviously an R-rated Pretty Woman. I even stole a couple lines from it, as Annie said, with the whole I would have done it for 5 instead of 10. This was not as hardcore as I expected after hearing some people, Amy, call it an hour-long porn. It wasn't that bad. It was, and I got some of it. It was more than falling in love, but even I have to say, by the sixth sex scene, it was like, all right, we get it.
This was the thing that really bothered me, that very last scene with Igor, and she gets on top of him, and then she just spit in her hand to moisten it. I'm like, really?
Well, the last 10 minutes, yeah, I'll get to that later. That was just the entire scene was ridiculous.
And with those
Um,
nails, she probably scratched it.
First time I
Hurts.
saw Igor, she probably scratched it. Igor, as soon as he got on there, I knew something was going to happen. He had some type of energy, and I liked his character a lot. Um, and Ivan, for that first 45 minutes, was very likable until he ran out the door. I thought he was cute. He was like a little kid, you know. I don't know.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, playing the video games
yeah,
and him
but then
going to
when
the
so
door with his big
here's where I
boner.
differ
And
from
so
at least
not worthy of anything.
yes. But here's where I differ from you guys. When the Armenians came to the house and Ivan runs, not her screaming, but the amount of screaming between all the people there as they were trying to wrangle Anora, it was just painful. It was just so much yelling and stupidity, I thought. It was bad writing. I did not like that at all. Um, And the part where, Amy and I've already talked. I know Amy, just like a certain wife of mine, has a visceral reaction to sounds and stuff like that. I get it, that just her screaming. But for me, her screaming was actually, it made sense. She felt like she was being attacked. And that's what you do. I taught rape prevention and screaming like that was absolutely the right thing to do on her part.
Wait
So
a minute, isn't that ironic that you would be teaching rape prevention?
no, it's not.
Now,
Just like
now.
just
Okay.
like Igor says, while I like boobs, well, he didn't say that, but I hate when people misinterpret that for I want to rape you. And I thought his reaction was absolutely great. Her reaction to why wouldn't you want to rape me was horrible. Horrible. Like who says that? And who would most guys do not actually want to rape you, even if they want to have sex with you.
All right. Get
No, I'm
off
being
your
serious though.
inbox.
I'm a certified sharp instructor, sexual harassment and rape prevention. And what she did was absolutely fantastic by screaming. That you never scream rape, you scream fire, you scream whatever.
That I've heard, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, the what is oh for me the part when they were looking for him it dragged. I know you guys liked it, but it was just them running around looking for a drunken Ivan. I get that it was some of it was funny, but it was still just it dragged. Uh,
Yeah, again, this was another example of him coming up with all these ideas and including every single one of them.
yeah. The one thing I did not feel at all was all the F-bombs. This was like the fifth most. I don't remember being inundated with fuck. I don't remember that at all. I mean, there was some, but I've watched The Big Lebowski a bunch of times, and I feel like that is like a lot. I don't know
It
how this
made
had
me
more.
it made me look it up and see that it was the fifth highest num
I
movie
don't get
with the
it
most
because
fucks. I was like, oh
I
my God, with this fuck.
How many
I
fucks
didn't
are in it?
400 and
Fucking
something.
lot.
A fucking lot.
and
Some
Danielle
people
said the
like.
same thing. We're both like we missed it. I don't know. It didn't inundate us, so I don't know. And
Yeah, you see how you've become insensitive to the word that you don't even hear
Yeah.
it.
I hate
They have to be in there.
even though I liked Mickey, I hated how Anora treated I think his name was actually Iger instead of Igor. Uh the one guy who treated her
Igor was in
nicely.
Frankenstein, right? Young
Yes.
Frankenstein.
Young
Igor.
Frankenstein's Igor.
Yes. But it's Iger, I think is how it's actually spelled. The one guy who actually treated her nicely the entire time. She treated him like shit the entire time, and I was like,
Yeah, but that is a typical romantic comedy trope. You hate them, and then you love
yeah.
Yeah.
But I will say I agree with Amy. The last 10 minutes, it just ruined a lot of what was going for the movie.
them. Not
2.5,
even with my explanation of why it was there.
no, no. This is not an Oscar level performance. 2.75 stars. This is a touch better than Crash, but because of the boobs, of which I grabbed everyone's last night, including three of the four of you.
Okay, Joel.
Yeah, I'm not upset. I don't know where to go with this. I'm not upset that it won Best Picture. It's not like, Crash versus Brokeback Mountain or
Right,
Shakespeare in Love versus
right. I mean, it
Lion.
wasn't quite a worthy movie. Even The Brutalist for me was too long and had problems too.
No, I
So
understand that. I don't think there were, I will disagree about Wicked for other reasons, and it's not going to happen here nor now. But Wicked was definitely one of the, if we had to narrow it down to five nominees, Wicked,
Right.
The Brutalist, and
Brutalist.
would be three of them. Uh, the rest
Wait,
of them,
what are the other two?
I would jettison them and put in a Real Pain and
Oh yeah.
something else. So,
Wild Robot, Flow.
yeah, exactly.
Oh, I haven't seen I'm Still Here.
It's
People do
correct. I
love
have not
that
seen
one.
I'm Still
People
Here,
do
so I
love that
can't
one.
comment on that one.
Right.
This was definitely a Pretty Woman meets True Romance kind of movie. Ernst Lubitsch meets Quentin Tarantino. It went
It,
on.
it can't even aspire to Quentin Tarantino.
No,
I'm
no,
sorry.
no. But I'm saying in
Yeah.
its over the top feel at times where
Right.
it's like, okay, we get the sex. I don't mind sex on screen, but we don't need that much of it. Get to the point of the story. The
Right.
F-bombs didn't bother me, but it was noted as like there's a lot of them. Okay, whatever. Are we going for a record, or we're just we're just
Yeah.
using it liberally? I loved her performance. I thought she was great. I thought the guy playing Igor, however you want to pronounce it, because Russian spellings, when they're anglicized, are different pronunciations than,
His name is
Wait.
Yuri Borisov.
Another question though. Why do all Armenians speak English and Russian? What was that about? That they were all Armenian, but they were speaking Russian with everyone too. What was
I
up?
is there Armenian language? Because there were times she didn't understand what they were saying.
Yeah,
Yes, there. I believe there is an Armenian language, but the Armenian gangsters tend to work for Russian oligarchs, so they need to know Russian. I don't know. I just
Yeah.
think
No,
sounds
that.
that
good.
makes sense.
It's on their resume.
And,
That
and
makes
Mark,
sense.
to your point, you hated all of their screaming and yelling and stuff. Have you ever been in a room with 50 something plus Eastern European Jews? That's really all it is.
Just
It's all
screaming.
yelling.
Yeah,
It's
it's a
all
lot of
yelling.
yelling. Um,
Okay.
anyway,
Have you ever been in a room with 50 plus
oh,
Armenian
have
Jews?
I? Not Armenians, but Eastern European Jews. They're similar. It's all similar and related. So,
Okay.
um,
They're all loud talkers.
yeah, and screamers and yellers and
Hmm.
about things that you don't really give a shit about to begin with. But anyway, I agree with most of what everybody said, to various extents. It is too long. I think Frank said at least 20 minutes. You could have shaved, 10 to 15 minutes off each segment of the film and it would have been fine. The last 10 minutes didn't bother me at all for the reasons Frank stated. I think it puts something of a cap on her story as well as
Eager.
Eager's story.
I
Um,
mean, didn't you love when he gave her the ring?
Yeah, I thought that was a great
Very
gesture,
sweet.
and once he did
That
that,
part
it
was
could have
good.
gone in so many
Yeah.
different directions.
I
And
looked up a 4 carat ring. It's about $30,000.
yeah, so
Nice little present.
Vanya could afford that. Um, it was entertaining. I was gonna watch it again before this, but I just haven't had the time. I'll watch it again at some point to, you know, um, just watch it again. It didn't. It was a good enough movie. I'll give it 3 stars.
Just let me edit it. That's what I
Reminds
said.
me of our Florida video.
Yeah. No, and I've said this example before, I think. We were doing Under the Sea, or one of the videos, whatever video we were doing, and I'm trying to go with the music and everything, and I didn't really have enough footage, and Amy was like, just fade out the song.
Hmm?
I'm like, oh my God, I never thought of that. Okay, yeah, I'll fade out the song.
The
And it
fact
made
that
for a better video.
the fact that this one editing over anything else that was nominated, I don't understand. And I guess they were going for most editing, not best editing.
Uh,
And I would have given that so to Wicked with all that beauty. Oh,
and I think that I mean, editing obviously isn't the award really for the physical splicing of things
Correct.
together. I
it's how
mean,
the
and
story is told.
yeah, and so it's not necessarily the editor's job to take out stuff or put stuff in. It's just how
Actually,
the
that's entirely wrong. The
no, I don't. I
film,
mean, like in no, I mean in a way of are we including this scene? That's the director's decision. So to
Well,
cut
yes,
it
but the
like 20
director,
minutes,
the
I don't
director,
think that's the editor's job. The
well,
editor's job is like, let's cut to this close up instead of this one. Let's show the vista from back here instead of
not,
from here.
no, I would disagree with
Ah,
that. It is the editor's job to explain sometimes to the director that, okay, you may love this scene, but it's interrupting the entire flow of the film,
Right.
you
Right.
know, and it should be either removed or shortened or moved
Right.
over here. Because, you
Right.
know, as much as we say, okay,
But
That's a
ultimately
tough
that's the director's
conversation to
decision.
have with yourself, I guess.
yeah.
Yes.
I have a
Absolutely.
question. So Annie and I, for our one viewer at home, Annie and I are the two who never went to film school, unlike these other three. So who has the final decision? Does the
The
director
director. The
Not all the
director,
time.
absolutely.
Not
always?
all,
So what if
no.
the editor
Well,
says,
not if
no,
he
we need to
doesn't
cut
have the
these two
final
minutes?
cut, of course.
Okay, so a good director knows how to and this is a different case here because obviously the director and the editor are the same person, but a good director knows how works with an editor that they know how to listen to, that they enjoy working with, that understands the medium properly and knows what works and what doesn't.
and
At the
puts it
end of
in
the
their
day
hands.
though, that what?
Right.
And puts it in the editor's hands.
Yeah, and puts because
Right.
that's
Because the
the movie
director's not sitting there the whole time while the editor is editing.
Some directors do, I think.
depends on the director,
Yeah.
but it also, you know, the film is made, you know, you've got a script that you're using as a blueprint, you've got the actors that
Right.
you're using, but the film is not made until it's in the editing room. That's where
Right.
things really start to
Yeah.
change and firm
I
up and
agree with that.
everything.
I
And
agree with that.
you
Yeah.
know, and some directors do have final cuts, so at the end of the day it's like, yes, this is we're
Well,
done,
I
this is
love
what it
it.
is, and this is
Yeah.
what you're releasing. But usually it's the
Which unfortunately Sean Baker did.
yes.
He
um
overrode himself.
he over
Yeah.
yeah.
So the average director, without anything special in his contract, if an editor cuts out these 2 minutes that he loves, he can say, no, fuck that. I want him back in the movie.
Yeah, but the producer and the movie studio could say, no, it's coming back out.
Okay.
Exactly. We
I
can
just
get into
read this thing with Judd Apatow, who said when he made, well, whatever the first one was, 40-Year-Old Virgin, whatever it was, he
Knocked up.
did a rough cut of the movie, took it to an audience. He wrote down every reaction from the audience, and then he re-edited the movie based on that.
Yep.
I
So
think it was
who
knocked
knows?
up.
Yeah, knocked up. So
If
who
you
knows what kinds of things you take notes from?
if you want a really good example of how a film can be reworked in editing based on who has final cut, go watch the two different versions of Brazil.
Brazil.
I've never heard of either version.
Terry
Terry
Gilliam,
Gilliam.
yeah, made a movie back in the 80s. It's a dystopian future fantasy film. It's a great movie, I think.
81,
But the
82.
head of Universal hated it and wanted it re-edited. And Terry Gilliam basically forced them into
Oh,
releasing his cut of the film. Bye, Annie. Have
bye, Annie. Have a
fun.
great day.
And said, you know, they wound up releasing
Then
it
there were
because it
four.
was a different company, and that got critics seeing it who kind of forced Universal's hand. But Sid Sheinbaum, who was in charge of it, and he technically had final cut, had the film re-edited down from 2 hours and 22 minutes to an hour and a half.
Wow.
And it is they are it's a horrible movie at an hour and a half. So
So real quick
And
before
too long at two
I
hours
don't
and
want
20
to
minutes.
do too
well,
much of an aside here, but
yeah,
then Joel
absolutely.
specifically, Justice League, the
Yes.
version that came out, I saw and hated
Right.
it, and then when Zack Snyder redid it and made it 9 hours long, it was actually really, really good, even though it was a little bit too long.
Yes.
So that was him talking to the studio and saying, "I need to come in and do my own cut."
Right.
That's
Yeah.
a more complicated story that we can talk about when we're done so that we're not
Okay.
boring, you know, anybody who's
Yeah.
left watching at this point. Because obviously,
Yeah,
Nobody's
but
watching at this point.
yeah.
yeah. But in that, again, in that case, there's a good movie in between those two.
Hmm.
Like
In
he
Justice
went too
But the longer
far.
version is
No.
way, way better. The shorter version made no sense. I watched it and was completely dumbfounded. And then I watched the longer version and was like, oh, okay, this all makes sense now.
There are other reasons for that as well. So,
All right. So
One of which I'm an idiot, so I need
oh,
things explained to me.
besides that,
besides that, I'll explain when we're done.
Okay.
all right.
I would think
So
anytime you have a director's cut, it's their edited version versus what
right.
the studio
But
forced them
but
to
here's
do.
the thing, as a director myself,
Yeah.
I could look at something, say it's great, and then 5 years later go, oh, maybe we should have cut that or cut that or cut
Are you
that
Francis
or
Ford Coppola?
put that. Yeah, absolutely, right? Again,
Everyone second guesses themselves.
Amy made
That's
fun
nothing to
of
do with the
our
director. That's nothing to do with being a director. Same thing. You could give a speech and then the next day say, "Oh, I should have said this."
right.
Anybody second guesses
Absolutely.
themselves.
But
Yeah.
this is what I'm saying. It's an ongoing, you know, and Amy referenced our Florida video. I could edit it now again because I'm
Oh,
like,
sure.
this would
Sure.
work better this way. Because once you're familiar with it, you see it and you think of other things. That's why even 10 years later, I still give notes to actors I directed 10 years ago. Because then all of a sudden it occurs, oh my God, we didn't do that. That's the what would have worked.
You give
So
me notes for my posts on Facebook.
yeah, I wish you would run them all by me. Whatever.
I'll work on that.
All right. So where to watch? Anora is back in theaters. You could certainly go there or rent it from Prime for $5.99.
And it is
Which
being
would
added to the Criterion Collection on disc. So
all right. And where do you know where it's going to stream?
I'm sure it'll eventually be on the Criterion channel.
Oh, but not anywhere before that.
No,
Neon is
I think so.
well, is Neon the new Miramax? They just buy Best Pictures.
Probably.
Yeah, because didn't they just have one?
Yeah, I think them and A24 are like the two, independent studios at this
All
point.
right. So next week, Joel selected The Illusionist, which is an animated film from 2010, and it's streaming on Max. You can watch it there.
So if I watch the one with Edward Norton, that would be wrong.
That is
Correct.
not the
That was
one.
wrong. Animated French
Although,
film, Mark.
although you could review that one, and we'll review the other.
Sounds good.
Although, admittedly, they are both about magicians. So,
Oh, okay.
Makes sense. Makes
Wait,
sense.
where is it showing?
Max,
Max.
Max, Max. I'm from New York. Max. All right. I'm more than 50. Go watch a movie.
And also with you.
Bye.